Good morning, all. Happy Thursday or Friday to you. Probably at least Friday, if not the weekend. How are you doing? I'm doing okay. I'm gonna fill you in a little bit on what's been going on with me, and then I thought we would talk about books and a summer book club. And I've got some ideas and wanted to see what you all thought of them. We'll take a little break for book club since we just finished up a book. And I'll probably post a poll after we have this discussion to let people vote on books, and we'll start up, I don't know, maybe in June. So we'll see what everybody thinks about that. But I thought we would talk about it now to give ourselves plenty of time to get organized and potentially buy a book. So that's our topics of the day. So, all right, what's been going on? This is my last teaching week of the semester, and I'm certain that you could guess how relieved I am. The semester went a lot better than the fall, but that being the case, I am sick to death of my crazy teaching schedule and of, I'll just say it, of my students. They're lovely. I have some really conscientious, good students. But I also have, mixed in there, you've got people that make your life a little bit more difficult. Not that we don't love them, but I'm looking forward to a break from them for sure. Since it's our last week with them, getting lots of emails about why things are late and all kinds of other excuse type things. And I'm just tired of dealing with it, right? Just keeping it real. I definitely am. So the semester isn't quite over here, but we wrap up earlier because we are only a 1 credit lab, and we don't even have a full 1 credit of their grade. So we don't teach for the entire semester, and it gives us time, since we're a portion of their larger grade for this particular course, it gives us a chance to grade, because we have a lot of them to grade, over 200. So that's another story. We'll try not to get depressed by that. We have over 200 outlines to grade, and it takes us time, obviously, and we need the weeks to be able to finish that so that the English instructors have the information from us to be able to calculate it into their grade. So it'll be good coming up here to have my schedule freed up a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna have a solid week or more of grading, which I'm not looking forward to, but we're almost there. We're officially almost there. It really hasn't been a bad week because we've just been letting them have it as a workshop. So it really feels like I'm a reference librarian again, going around and helping people. And I like that. I'm just kind of exhausted of it all. So looking forward to a break. We all need to recharge. I think that's the thing. This is what I do best. I'm in my nurturing, helping role. I feel very useful right now. I feel like I did back when I first became a librarian. That's all good. The enthusiasm about helping people and providing old-fashioned librarian reference services. But we all need some time to be re-inspired and recharge, and hopefully that's what the summer is going to do. So that is that. We finished up over the weekend the Divine Mercy Novena, which was really lovely, and I had a lovely Divine Mercy Sunday. Henry was serving at the 11 o'clock Mass on Divine Mercy Sunday. It was a really nice day, and I was talking with my friends, like you and I talked last week, about the next novena for May, and I think we have decided on Our Lady of Fatima. And I just got an email this morning from Pray More Novenas that they're going to be praying the Our Lady of Fatima novena, so I'm going to put a link to that in the show notes, and that will begin May 4th, so a week from when I'm recording this. It's a Thursday. So next Thursday we will begin, and I'm looking forward to that. So it's been a good week. I've been thinking about in terms of the things that are challenging to me, work, yeah, it's work. So in terms of that, I've been thinking more about trying to carve out more time for prayer. I think reading Live Today Well, like we just have been doing since February, has really been beneficial to me. And so I'm thinking just about small, quiet ways that I can incorporate that into my day and offer up more of my day for a greater good. And we've been talking here at work a little bit about the fall, which is a little scary because you know how terrible last fall was for me in so many different ways. And I'm feeling more encouraged though. And I've been coming up with ideas for how I can be spiritually centered and ready for the fall semester when that comes, and how I can recharge over the summer and and, and make some changes to my prayer routine, and how I can then use that to make my everyday life just more spiritual, more loving, more charitable, all of these things. And it's I think where I am in my life, which is to say age, although we're not going to talk about that any further, it really has made me realize how quickly things go by. And when you're at the stage of your life where you're working and your day job, you know, sometimes can have its ups and downs, and so you're just trying to make it through, and you've got kids, or something else in your life outside of work that consumes a lot of your time, and you've got lots of bills and things. You know, this is the time of life where you've got a mortgage and car payments and maybe tuition for yourself, for your kids, and there's just a lot going on all the time in your little head. It's easy for the time to just whisk by, and you realize that your life is passing by so fast. It's a very humbling reality. And it's like an hourglass, and you can see the sand, and you're just like trying to grab onto the little grains of sand, like just slow down a little bit. I don't want it to go so fast. And that's one of the things I was thinking about last night. I was talking about it with Mike about my job and trying to be in a better frame of mind, emotionally and spiritually, for it all, because you don't want to rush everything. You know, you're going through something that's less than pleasant, and it's just our natural human inclination to want to rush it. Like, I just want to get this over with so that I can be on the other side and feel happier again. But life doesn't always work that way. It doesn't always work out the way you plan. You're not always as happy as you think you'll be on the other side. And we need to learn how to enjoy every day and all of these little moments, or else your life passes in the blink of an eye and you don't really get to enjoy any of it as much as you would like. So that's what I've been really focusing on improving. And to be sure, I've got things that I'm looking forward to. I enjoy that, having, even though they're off a little bit, so it's not rushing up until then, but just thinking, oh yeah, I've got this trip coming, I'm going to see this friend, and those are all lovely milestones coming up that you're looking forward to. And I've got several of those coming up over this later spring and summer, but I don't want to rush it all until I get there. I just want to enjoy everything. So coming up, I have a trip to see Christina. I have a dance trip. I'm going to be seeing Samantha. Mike and the kids and I are going to Maine to take a little road trip and visit family. And I've got other dance events coming up. Really excited about all of those things. But I'm just going to try not to rush everything in the meantime. So that's what's been going on in my week. It's been good. I've been listening to my podcasts and participating, I think, a little bit more in social media, which usually it's the reverse. People want to be doing things in social media less because they feel like it takes up too much of their time. But I felt like I had sort of lessened my steam. Like I was looking, but I wasn't really participating. I tend to be kind of an observer rather than always wanting to take part in things. And it made me realize that I was missing some of that interaction that I would have on social media with my friends that I don't get to see in person all the time. So I've been doing that. It's been a good feeling. So it's been a good week. So that's what's going on with me. If you'd like to leave a comment about what's been going on with you, I'd love to hear it. So let's talk about books. So I've got a little list, and I'm just going to pull it up here. I've got Amazon links. So I have the links in the show notes or you could take a look at these, and I'll probably post an official poll at some point coming up here in the next couple of weeks. I'm not wedded to any of these titles. I have 4 that I'm going to mention right now. I'm not wedded to any of them necessarily. There are 2 that I feel are really good contenders, but I think that they're overall representative of the type of thing I'm going for. So I'm definitely open to adding other books in, potentially swapping a book out, depending on your suggestions. So let's sort of see where this takes us, but this is a starting point. So I have 2 here that are historical fiction. I think we're definitely going to do fiction. We need a break from the nonfiction. We just did that for a while. So I have 2 historical fiction of a religious angle. So the first one is called The Well, a novel, and this is the first book in a series called Living Water. The author is Stephanie Lansom, and let me just read you briefly. Okay. For the women of the Samaritan village of Sychar, doing my best with pronunciation, the well is a place of blessing, the place where they gather to draw their water and share their lives. But not for Mara. Shunned for the many sins of her mother, Neva, Mara struggles against the constant threats of starvation or exile. Mara and Neva's lives are forever changed with the arrival of 2 men, Shem, a mysterious young man from Caesarea, and Jesus, a Jewish teacher. Nava is transformed by Jesus, but his teachings come too late, and she is stoned by the unforgiving villagers. Desperate to save her dying mother, Mara and Shem embark on a journey to seek Jesus' help, a journey that brings unexpected love and unimaginable heartbreak. Okay, so I'm a little worried about the potential sadness part of this, but this is obviously the woman at the well, a fictional account of, sort of bringing to life that story in a way that the author is imagining the way that it could have been based on the facts that we do have from the scriptures, which I think is a wonderful idea. This book comes highly recommended from Christina, whose opinion I take very highly and seriously. She loved it. I don't like to cry when I read books, and this one might make us do that. I'm not positive, but it certainly has that potential. But I do love the premise, right? I think this is a wonderful premise. And book 2, I remember her showing that to me, is about, I can't remember, but it's the same type of it's based on a story from the scriptures. So I really do love this idea. What do you think? So this is called The Well. Link in the show notes. It is $9.99 for Kindle, $6.34 for a paperback. I'd probably order the paperback if we went with this one. So historical, religious, scripture-based fiction. The next one is another historical fiction, and I had this on the list last year when we were doing a book club. We had both fiction and nonfiction on that list, and we ended up going with Church of Spies, which was a nonfiction piece about the church during World War II. But this one is called The Secret Healer. It is also part of a series based on that same name. It's the Secret Healer series by Ellen Karsta. And it is, let me see here. Let me read quickly the description. Okay, so it's in the 14th century, and it's about a midwife. Okay, so in the 14th century, opportunities for women are limited to the home, but spirited young maiden, Madian, that is her name. Madian finds her calling as assistant to the city's trusted midwife, Clara. So Madian becomes known as a talented healer because she's so good at what she does. After Clara's tragic death, Madian alone rushes to assist the birth of a local nobleman's child. But rather than the joy of birth, Madian walks into an accusation of murder and witchcraft because of her extraordinary gifts. So that's the premise of this book. So she's sort of shunned from the town. She still wants to help people, so she's doing this on the sly. When she meets handsome Johann, an investigator hired by the church to bring her to justice for sacrilegious acts, she becomes drawn to the very man who could destroy her. So let me see who the publisher of this is. This is Amazon Crossing. Is this a self-published, or is that actually, I don't know, because I'm not familiar with it. So it's not a Catholic publisher, so it'll be curious to see how the religious angle is worked in here, whether it's seen as a positive or a negative. But I am very intrigued by the premise of this, the setting, the fact that it focuses on a midwife. I am very squeamish, so it's ironic that I find things about midwives so fascinating because blood makes me withdraw. But I think that this sounds really interesting, and the fact that it ties in the church during this period of time definitely captured my imagination. What do you think? This book is $8.67 for paperback. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's included in there. You could read it as part of your subscription, or it is $4.99 for Kindle, so a little bit less expensive than the other one. I'd probably download it for Kindle if we went with that one. All right, so the other one that I picked is a contemporary or more contemporary Catholic fiction. This is How Firm a Foundation from Marcus Grodi. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Marcus Grodi, but I know him from way back early in my journey back to the church. He founded the Coming Home Network. He's a former Presbyterian pastor. He does a show on EWTN where he interviews converts, and I've always really liked him. He has a really gentle, soft kind of a disposition and voice, and I have read the conversion story books that he's put out, find that very fascinating. And he wrote 2 fiction books based on the same type of a theme. This is the first one, and I've read it already, but it's been a long time since I read it. It came out originally, is it going to tell me that? All right, it says 2012, but that's when it was reissued, because I read it long before then. This is like the second edition, I believe. So I bought it before, probably sometime in the earlier 2000s. And I remember really liking it, but it's been so long I can't remember much about it. And I bought the second book, which is called Pillar and Bulwark, and I haven't read it because I feel like I should go back and reread this one so that I'm up to date, because it continues on with the same story. So this is about a Protestant pastor who becomes disenamored with his position in terms of his faith and starts to doubt his role as an ordained minister. And so he starts to look into the Catholic Church. Okay, so his name is Stephen. He wanted to obey God in all things, given up a career to become an ordained minister. He loved to preach the word and knew that one day he would stand before God accountable for everything he preached. But there was one problem. How could he be certain that what he was preaching was true? Sarah, this is his wife, Sarah never wanted this role, but she loved Stephen. So through his encouragement and tutelage, she had become both an enthusiastic evangelical and an effective pastor's wife. But with the gnawing guilt of a past mistake that she had never revealed to her husband, ever let her go. And then there was Walter. He too believed in Jesus. He too loved the Bible and vowed to do whatever God called him to do. But what if that was the unthinkable? So I don't remember exactly how all of these storylines tie together. So I think this one is interesting, right? It's set probably sort of the late 20th century, early part of this century, because it was contemporary to when Marcus was writing it. And it's a pretty hefty sized novel. And I remember, but I read it fast because it was had a thriller type of a feel to it. Because I want to say this Walter might be somebody who is potentially dangerous to our protagonist, Stephen. So there was just a lot of action and suspense building up. And so I read it quickly. It is 536 pages in the print, so it's a longer book, but I remember really liking it, and that it drew my attention to certain parts of the scriptures that are important for our Catholic faith. And so, yeah, what do you think? So this book is $9.99 for Kindle. It looks like it doesn't have the paperback available for Prime, so you would have to get it. Oh, let's see, $3.95 plus $3.99 shipping. So it's available from other vendors through Amazon. So what do you think? What do you think about this one? Oh, this is the older paperback. Yeah, it came out in 2002. This is the copy that I have. I can see the cover art is a little different. So let me know your thoughts on that or that type of book if you have another suggestion. The last one is an Amish book because you all know me. I love Amish fiction. One of my favorite authors of Amish fiction is Beth Wiseman, and so I selected one, but there are plenty of other books to choose from if we just want something in this vein. This one is called An Amish Year, 4 Amish Novellas, $7.99 for Kindle, $5.39 for paperback, and it has 4 stories in it that just take place throughout the different seasons. They're all different love stories. Very wholesome and lovely, from a Christian publisher. Yeah, Thomas Nelson. So they're all going to have, so there's a Christmas one, and then a spring, summer, and fall story, and they're all a little bit different. So just to give, I'll just read one of them. I think this is the spring installment. Rosemary is doing her best to run her family's household. She excels at all her tasks except one, gardening. Saul has pursued Rosemary for years, but Rosemary keeps turning him down. What Saul doesn't know is that she has a good reason, something no one can know, especially not him. So there's always a little bit of a twist. It's not a full-out mystery, but there's some kind of a conflict that needs to be resolved between the characters before they can be together at the end. But we all know they're going to get together at the end. There's a happy ending here all the time. So what do you think about that kind of a book? It doesn't have to be a collection. This is just an example. Beth Wiseman in particular, has written series that chronicle different characters in different families, and they are standalone longer books. And so we could, read book 1 in one of those series. There's plenty of other authors of Amish fiction that are quite good, and we can read one of theirs. Some of them do have a suspense angle. Beverly Lewis, I've read a lot of her stuff, and she has series that will follow a family and have a suspense that will even continue throughout a series of books and not be resolved until the final book. Really, really good. And I would not be opposed to rereading something, because it's been a while since I've read many of these, and I'm likely to have forgotten many of the things. And so when I enjoy books a lot, I do sometimes go back and reread. So I'm happy to do that. Or if you have a totally different author you'd like to suggest, I'd love to hear it. So I have all of those links in the show notes. Take a look. Let me know what you think. We'll get ourselves a list together and then vote. If there are 2 books that are close, we could always do a summer and then a fall book club, so we could read more than one. Or if we choose shorter books, we could maybe read 2 I don't know. What do you think? I would just love to know what you think. So I'm going to sign off. I see that I am at 22 minutes, so I'm going to sign off. I enjoyed our talk. This was really nice for my Thursday morning. And I will be talking to you all next week. Please do let me know your thoughts on the books and what's going on with you. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.